Okay. Do you mind just giving me a sec? Okay. I'm not sure if I actually got you on an audio. So
Hmm.
now I'm certain I've got you in an audio. So we're not gonna repeat, but we may have been silent all this time. Well, you being silent all this
Right.
time. Okay. So
Yeah.
maybe just briefly a repeat for the if people weren't aware. Just briefly go over again, like how you were orange build yourself.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, that's a very correct term. I orange pilled myself because that is the only way to orange pill someone. Everybody needs to convince themselves that Bitcoin matters. So the brief story is I had a very good exposure to the Austrian School of Economics during my university studies. Later on, um, I had a good fortune to hear Andreas Antonopoulos live when he came to Prague in 2016. He had a very good speech on why Bitcoin matters and like why we should basically get involved. And after that, 2016, 2017, I started to take Bitcoin much more seriously. And ultimately, it also led to me writing my book on Bitcoin, Bitcoin separation of money and state. I wrote the basics of that book in 2020. And in 21, it was published in Czech. And I believe in 22 or 3, it was published also in English. And that's like my main book that I use now in my educational activities to, to convince themselves that Bitcoin matters.
Okay, earlier on when the audio was off, you mentioned there were a few hiccups along the way. Were those hiccups like getting involved in other altcoins and things like that, or something else?
Yeah, that's precisely it. So I did some like altcoin trading, some leverage trading. It didn't go well. So I learned my lesson. I think it was a very important lesson for me that led me to like the Bitcoin only mindset, and also to like the strong understanding of like why self custody matters. So I think these are the two main elements for people that are new to Bitcoin. Just focus on Bitcoin and take self custody, because otherwise you won't survive. Basically, you will get wrecked on shitcoins. You will get wrecked on leverage trading, and you will get wrecked if you hold your Bitcoin uh, with custodians, with exchanges like FTX, BlockFi, and stuff like that. It's all really bad news. And even like the exchanges, they always look good. Uh, and it always just, it basically happens just once that they get, that they go under. So it doesn't matter that there are exchanges that have been running without any major fail for 10 years, because it can take just one day and everybody's wiped out on that exchange. So really take self-custody seriously and take possession as soon as you can, because if you own the private keys to your Bitcoin, that is the only way to actually own Bitcoin. If you only have like a login credentials for your exchange, you don't own the Bitcoin. And a lot of people learn the hard way. So you should learn from our mistakes of people that have been around for years. So I'm trying to instill that these two ideas, Bitcoin only and self-custody, into the newcomers, and hopefully a lot of people will hear this message.
Yeah, I'm actually very bad because I've got your device. I won it in one of the courses that is run here in South Africa for Trezor, but I haven't actually moved my funds to this hardware wallet. How difficult is it for a layperson to install the software and start using this product that you guys are selling?
It's very straightforward at this point. It used to be the case that you needed some technical understanding, like working with the hardware wallets, but the UX has improved so much in the past couple of years. So Trezor usually is considered one of the best like user-friendly wallets. it's just, let's say, like a plug and play device. You just plug it in and it will basically navigate you in terms of what you have to do next. So you go to the website, Trezor.io, you download the Trezor Suite, which is like the companion app for the wallet. And then you are basically walked through the whole setup. You get all critical like information about writing down the seed and how you should do it, how you should not do it. You shouldn't take like a digital copy, and all of that is explained like during the onboarding. And the whole onboarding, like setting up the hardware wallet, takes maybe 20 minutes. So you should just have a little bit of patience, but it doesn't take like half a day. So just set up maybe like half an hour for set aside like a half an hour for setting up the device. Take it slow, make sure you understand everything, but it will pay off in the long run, because that is the only way to actually own your Bitcoin, to have it on a hardware wallet.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. So tell me a bit more about like why you decided to focus on education and the work of Trezor Academy.
Yeah, so I strongly believe that Bitcoin is one of the most important developments of our time. As an economist, I think that the nature of money that we use is it touches everything that we do in a society. Sometimes, and I really like that that saying that like money is half of every transaction that we do. And the nature of money is very, very important as to how the society looks, what's the societal time preference in terms of how we plan towards the future, or how we prefer to basically spend everything at once. So where I'm getting at is it's really critically important for us to have sound money in like our societies. And Bitcoin is the best opportunity for us to return to the sound money society. We used to have money when we use gold and silver, like the commodity money, because these are scarce and you need money to be scarce for multiple reasons. And Bitcoin is our best shot at getting there, at getting to sound money again. But it like doesn't happen by itself. For Bitcoin to succeed, we need Bitcoiners. This change goes like it happens through people that are using Bitcoin. And to get there, to start using Bitcoin, you just need to understand what Bitcoin is about, how to use it, because it's a little bit different type of money from what we are used to right now, because you need to take the self-custody, you need to like interact with it in a peer-to-peer fashion, preferably without the exchanges and stuff. So education is critical for Bitcoin to succeed. Because a lot of people, for example, like as an example, a lot of people think they are using Bitcoin and they are getting the benefit of Bitcoin by buying an ETF. For example, if you're in the US, that's how you get the exposure to the number go up, to Bitcoin's price. But that will not ever lead to what I'm aiming for, which is Bitcoin as the sound money basis of our society, because it's basically just using like a derivative of Bitcoin. It's not using Bitcoin itself. Uh, so, and also like with the ETFs or other custodians like exchanges, if you don't control the private keys to the Bitcoin, then the assurance of 21 million Bitcoin as the limit of how much Bitcoin there's going to be. That doesn't work at all, because the custodians can create more paper claims to the Bitcoin, as for example FTX did. So Bitcoin fails if everybody uses Bitcoin through custodians as a tool to just protect themselves from inflation, let's say. So then it fails. So we need Bitcoin to be used as it should be, which is as many people as possible use Bitcoin in a self-custodial manner. They control their keys, and then use it for transactions or use it for savings. But to get people to use that, they need to understand why that is critically important. So that is just a long-winded way to get to the answer. I'm involved in Bitcoin education because Bitcoin education is the only way for Bitcoin to succeed in the long term. We need people to understand why they should hold their Bitcoin and why they should prefer to use it either as a store of value or as a medium of exchange. It also depends where in the world you are. And in terms of Bitcoin education, what I believe is the most powerful approach is Bitcoin meetups. Just people going someplace, meeting with other people, with other potential or existing Bitcoiners, asking questions, having someone who is knowledgeable about Bitcoin and is eager to explain the concepts, answer the questions, and the form of like 20 to 30 people per meetup, that is what usually works the best, because everybody has a chance to ask questions. It's much more intimate setting. So if anybody feels like they have a stupid question to ask, but they need to ask it to really understand, they're not as intimidated as if they're like in a larger setting, or if it's like a public forum on an internet and stuff. So Bitcoin education through local physical Bitcoin meetups, that is what I think works the best. And then like as a way to get into Bitcoin. And then, of course, you can progress from there to Bitcoin podcasts and books and all kinds of other resources. But as the first touch point, I believe small Bitcoin meetups are the best. And it worked for me also. Like I heard that Andreas's talk back in 2016, but I was also going to a lot of Bitcoin meetups back then. And that is when it really clicked for me how to actually use Bitcoin and how to understand it.
Okay, that's very interesting. So, as a part of the Trezor Academy, do you help your educators to set up Bitcoin meetups and that? How do you mentor the people that join Trezor Academy to teach people?
Yeah, so the way it works is we have a curriculum. We have like some slides, or maybe let me go back a little bit. So the Trezor Academy program works through physical Bitcoin meetups, and one unit of the program is 3 meetups. And we ask the participants to visit all 3 meetups because that's like the full curriculum. On the first meetup, you will learn like why Bitcoin matters and why fiat currency basically fails as money, and how Bitcoin can address these failings. The second meetup is more about what kind of tools we have, so what kind of wallets, what's the difference between on-chain and Lightning and stuff. And the third meetup is basically covering what kind of Bitcoin resources there are, how people can get involved if they're, for example, graphic designers or developers, and basically how to go from there. And what we ask of the local organizers that run the Trezor Academy with us is they need to have like some solid understanding of Bitcoin so that they can explain all of these concepts to the participants. And they should also have some skills in terms of running a meetup, because yeah, it's good to have some experience with that. And the curriculum is mostly the same for all the organizers across the world. But we do ask them to add like a local flavor to those meetups, because in some countries, in some communities, some particular use case of Bitcoin might be more important than other. In some places, like remittance payments, for example, through Bitcoin are more important than using Bitcoin as a store of value. In some places, it is more about like circular economy. So that is up to the local organizers to understand what the local context is, and how to best explain Bitcoin in the local context. And of course, sometimes local languages are involved as well. We're also working on these local translations of the curriculum and some of the resources we use, like my book. And so, yeah, it's like a, let's say, a distributed educational program, because I'm not the one teaching the participants on the ground. It's the local organizers that we work through, but we share the same curriculum, which is Bitcoin only and like self-custody focus. But we also understand that people usually do not start with self-custody, because it doesn't really make sense. If you have like $5 worth of Bitcoin, then of course you will use something like Blink, for example. And so we explain it as a sort of progression. You go from using a Blink wallet for some small amounts to maybe using like a Phoenix wallet where you do have self-custody, to maybe eventually using hardware wallets like Trezors if you are really serious about Bitcoin.
So do you at least sign the certificates?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So I went through your
Sure.
course. I must say it was, like you said, I missed the first one, but I did catch the second two. So it's exactly like you said, that progression of knowledge, what you learn in the different parts. I wanted to ask you, does Trezor have like a Lightning wallet, or does it only focus on on-chain solutions in terms of technology?
Yeah, so for now it's on-chain only. For cold storage, it makes sense to go basically just on-chain, because Lightning, for Lightning to work, you need to basically have a hot wallet. So cold storage and Lightning don't really go together. But we are considering like having maybe our own Lightning wallet in the future, but nothing is really being seriously discussed right now. So we are perfectly fine with recommending like other Lightning wallets. What I recommend as part of the program is the Blink wallet and the Phoenix wallet. Or if you don't have a smartphone, then Machankura from KG from your country, from South Africa, that's a very solid choice as well. It's a custodian wallet, but as I say, for smaller amounts, it doesn't really matter that much. But people need to have that understanding that if you go from $5 to $500, you shouldn't use Blink or Machankura anymore. You should progress through self-custody.
Progress to self-custody even on a Lightning wallet, or should you move that $500 off on-chain?
Yeah, so that really depends. I would say if you need to use that Bitcoin like often, then it's probably a good idea to use it through like Phoenix, which is a self-custodial wallet, but still a Lightning wallet. And I would consider it a safer option than Blink or Machankura for this much amount, for $500. But if you are just building your Bitcoin savings, then I would say $500 would be around like the minimal amount that I would send to the Trezor, to like an cold storage on chain. But usually it's best to think about the minimum values in terms of sats. So 1 million sats, 1 million Satoshi is usually the recommendation that I give, which would be around $1,000 now. That would position you better for possible high on-chain fees later on. But as I said, you need to basically get to that level of understanding so that you understand why you need to consider some minimum UTXO size and to understand how Bitcoin works under the hood in terms of UTXOs and transaction fees. And I don't want people to get intimidated about that when they are starting on with Bitcoin. So that's why we explain it as this sort of progression. If you have $5 or $20 worth of Bitcoin, bring Machankura, not totally fine. $500 and more, you should have a deeper level of understanding what you're doing and how to keep your Bitcoin safe. $1,000 or more, definitely hardware wallet, and you should be comfortable just like storing your own seed and recovering the wallet from the seed and stuff like that.
Tell me, if you are on a self-custodial Lightning wallet like Phoenix, must you, is it analogous to running a Lightning node where you have to worry about inbound and outbound liquidity, or is it just a wallet that you're transacting with?
Yeah, so Phoenix, for me, is the best choice for people that don't want to handle the full Lightning channel management. Because as you said, there's like, you need to have that Lightning node online all the time. You need to handle the channel balance. You need to choose like the partners for your Lightning channels. And Phoenix or Async, who's running the Phoenix wallet, they do it all for you. So it's a very good choice for people that want to have self-custody on Lightning, maybe are handling like larger amounts of funds, like hundreds of dollars worth of Bitcoin, but they don't want the headache of managing the full Lightning infrastructure. You can do that, for example, with a Zeus wallet and just running your own node. I do that myself, like running the Zeus and Lightning node and handling the channel management. And I like it. It's a very nice learning opportunity. But I also use Phoenix wallet on my mobile phone as the main go-to Lightning wallet. And I think at this point, it's probably the best Lightning wallet out there if you want to have self-custody. You will pay some transaction fees for that as well. You need to pay like some setup fee when you are setting up the wallet, the Phoenix wallet for the first time, which is also why I recommend like Phoenix wallet for like higher, a little bit higher amounts than like a couple dollars worth of Bitcoin. If you have like $100 worth of Bitcoin, then it makes sense to use Phoenix. If you have less than $100, I would go with Blink or Machankura.
Okay, got it. Thanks a lot for that. Does the Trezor Academy like go into that depth of this training, or is it more for the layperson? And you go as far as like, you know, teaching how to use a self-custodial Lightning wallet, but not so much how to run a node itself.
Yeah, we don't cover running the Lightning node in the curriculum, but it really also depends on what kind of group gets together. So for example, that's why I like how we run the Trezor Academy, because it's not one size fits all. So we have like we share the same curriculum, but the organizers can skip some slides or spend much more time on some particular slides if they feel like the group like needs it and if there are questions around it. So an example from a different content of the slides. There's just a little bit about Bitcoin mining, and for some students, Bitcoin mining might not be interesting at all. So they can basically just skip that, maybe explain a little bit about how proof of work works, but they can even skip it altogether. But for some groups, it might be the most important and the most interesting part of the whole Trezor Academy. So if the organizer like feels that and has the knowledge, they should like focus on that if they feel that's what the students are looking for. If, for example, the Trezor Academy is run at a local university and the university students have like some CS program, like computer science program, and are interested in that, maybe they will be more interested in running the Lightning infrastructure, and they should get into that then. So that's why I feel like how we run the Trezor Academy program is very powerful, because like the groups are different. We run the program both in like townships in very poor areas where people will have very different questions than if it is run at a university. So we do like touch on basically everything around like Bitcoin and using Bitcoin, but it is up to the organizer to select basically which fields they should dive more into based on like what kind of group they have.
That's very nice. So you've like met up with a few people from my part of the country. I'm here in Johannesburg, and I think I saw the pictures of Michael Ratebe, Bitcoin in Soweto and in Randfontein. So some of your work is like being taught in the very area that I'm in. Actually, the course that I went to was taught by Michael Ratebe in BTC Soweto. So how do people like get involved with Bitcoin Academy? Say, for example, if I want to do run like a Trezor Academy here in Lenasia, how would I go about doing that?
Yeah, so the best way is to go on the website, which is academy.trezor.io, and we have an application form for people that would like to get involved as organizers. And I review these applications from time to time. And also you can, like, if you do that, it's also a good idea to approach me directly, either, for example, through the Trezor Academy profile on Twitter or X. The DMs are open, so you can just introduce yourself, directly. Not you, Harun, because I know you already, of course, but for the listeners, yeah, you can fill the form. You can drop me a DM on the Trezor Academy profile on Twitter, and we'll chat. We don't accept everybody. Also, like we have we cannot just run thousands of meetups every year, so we have like a limited scope in terms of what we can support. But especially in like communities where there is no Bitcoin education at all right now, and you feel you have a good contact with the local community, and you can basically speak their language, not just like language wise, but in terms of explaining Bitcoin in the proper context, then that is what is most important for us. Right? So people from the townships, that's very interesting for us. And not just South Africa, but for example, in Kenya, we are running the program now in Kibera, which is also a very large township in Kenya. Because these are the settings where people usually don't have much exposure to not just any Bitcoin education, but let's say financial literacy as such, because big part of the program is actual financial literacy, like learning about money, learning about how money works and how it should work and how it should work for you, and understanding why like inflation rates are a real issue and why you cannot just save in your local national currency, which is the case everywhere in the world, but it's even worse in many African countries. So yeah, these are the type of communities that we like to run the program in, where otherwise there would be no exposure to that kind of education. And also, it's not just the content, it's really like the way you explain it to the community, because as you probably are aware, there's a lot of scams, especially like in many African communities, even the poorer communities. These people are just targeted by scammers, and they exploit like the low levels of financial literacy that you sometimes find in these communities. So what is important for this type of education is to have the trust of the community and to have like the reputation with the local community, so that they overcome this skepticism that is very natural. Because if you know people that have been scammed, like with some projects that say they are somehow Bitcoin related, but it's just some kind of Ponzi scheme, then you have this connection of Bitcoin and some kind of scam. And it's very important for someone who is locally well respected, like let's say Michael in Soweto, because he's like a music teacher, right? And he works with the kids, and people know him and people trust him. So it's important for people like that to explain Bitcoin. It shouldn't be outsiders. It shouldn't be me coming to these communities and trying to explain Bitcoin, because it wouldn't resonate, right? So it needs to be locals that can actually like talk to the people in the way that they respect and they recognize.
So is Trezor Academy mostly an altruistic product, because the people that get the education don't pay for it? There's like prizes like winning a hardware wallet or winning your book and all of that. Where does the funds come for this? And I'm guessing that's why you said that you can only run like a limited amount. I'm guessing you don't. This is not a money making thing for you. You don't charge funds for this. So how is
Yeah,
it possible that you can make these things available?
yeah. So it's a non-profit initiative by Trezor, and the idea is we are just sort of giving back to the community, to like Bitcoin as such, because Bitcoin made the Trezor company a very successful company. And we are just trying to, cultivate a little bit, cultivate the industry and cultivate the community, because there's, as I said, there's a lot of scams, a lot of misguidance, even by like some of the actors, by some of the exchanges that misinterpret what it means to own Bitcoin. So we're just trying to get the newcomers to get Bitcoin in a correct way, like in their first steps. Because, yeah, as I said, a lot of us got burned, like with altcoin trading, with leverage, with not taking possession of our private keys early on. And it's just very sad to see those stories again and again. So for Trezor as a company, it's a non-profit initiative. It's fully paid by the company, by the Trezor, which, yeah, as you said, we cannot support everything that comes across. So we need to carefully pick like the people that we work with the local organizers or the projects that we support. And yeah, it's for me personally, it is very satisfying to teach people about Bitcoin and teach people that would otherwise have no exposure to this level of knowledge. And like a motto of the program is also spreading Bitcoin awareness in places where it matters the most, because I feel like many African communities, for a lot of those communities, having money, having access to the type of money that actually works for them, not against them, is a true game changer. For the people in the West, I mean, having exposure to Bitcoin, it's nice. It's a nice savings technology. Usually, you don't really need it as a medium of exchange to make payments with, because everything sort of works here. But I mean, any people can get other savings technologies, or can get like exposure to real estate or stocks and such. But in places like South African townships, you don't have that option. You usually it's very hard even to get a bank account. But with Bitcoin, you can do digital payments all across the world, or receive payments. So you can, for example, work for the US company and receive your wage without any issues. And you can build up the savings finally. You can finally protect yourself from the inflation. So it matters even more to people in the global south, let's say, than for the people in the west. So that's, for me, that's a main driver to do this program.
So, I'm guessing that from what you just said, that you focus your awareness and attention more on spreading the Trezor Academy in the global South countries rather than in the first world countries, where there
Yes.
the use case is more as an alternative savings mechanism to guard against the devaluation of the currency. But in the global south countries, like in Africa, because there's a very definitive need for giving financial access to the unbanked, you focus more your efforts on teaching people here to get your first world economic education passed on to people that won't necessarily have this as education because they don't have like a banking system that's ubiquitous.
Yes, yes, that's precisely right. So the Trezor Academy, the focus is only Global South. We don't run any programs in Europe or the US. So we run the programs only in Africa, uh, Central and South America, and recently also India. And I would say the countries we would consider unprivileged. I really like this term from Alex Gladstein. Uh, yeah, because we, like in the West, have this sort of financial privilege where we have the all kinds of digital payments means, Apple Pay, credit cards, and stuff. But like the majority of the people in the world uh, don't have that, and Bitcoin can provide that for them if they have like the knowledge and the correct exposure to it. And so that is what we do with the Trezor Academy.
Okay, brilliant. Well, I'm not going to keep you too long, Joseph. I really want to thank you so much for coming on my show. I would love to have you on another time. Maybe we can explore some more, talk some more about. I've got so many questions, as you can imagine. So I'd really love to have you on again.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
You take care, and I'm going to send you the link to our conversation today, and I hope to see you again soon.
All right. Thank you very much, Harun.
Thanks, Joseph. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you.